Introduction of Rural Sociology and Educational Psychology. Sociology and Rural Sociology. By Dr. Saurabh Sharma, Associate Professor, Nagaland University, Medzifema Campus, Nagaland. Understanding Rural Sociology and its importance in agricultural extension. A comprehensive exploration of how the scientific study of rural communities enhances agricultural extension work and rural development initiatives. This presentation examines key concepts, definitions, and applications relevant to undergraduate students and early career professionals in sociology. What is sociology? Definition. Sociology is the scientific study of society, human relationships, and social behavior. It examines how people interact with one another, how social institutions function, and how societies change over time. Etymology. The term sociology was coined by Auguste Comte, 1789 to 1875, often referred to as the father of sociology. It combines the Latin word socius, companion, associate, society, and the Greek word logos, science or study. Key elements of sociology. Society. A group of people who share a common culture and territory. Social interaction. How individuals behave and relate with others in society. Social institutions. Organized structures like family, school, religion, and economy that guide behavior. Culture. Shared beliefs, values, customs, and traditions of a group. Social change. How societies evolve over time due to innovation, conflict, or external influences. Category population criteria economy facilities lifestyle examples, India. Rural areas less than 5,000 people per settlement. Low population density agriculture, livestock, forestry. Cottage industries limited healthcare, education, transport, communication simple and traditional, close social ties villages in Uttar Pradesh, Bihar, Nagaland, Rajasthan. Urban areas more than 5,000 people. Higher density than rural industries, trade, services, offices better healthcare, education, transport, infrastructure modern, faster pace of life. Weaker social ties than villages cities like Lucknow, Bhopal, Kohima, Guwahati. Metropolitan cities more than 10 lakh people. Very high density highly industrialized, service-oriented, global linkages advanced infrastructure, specialized hospitals, universities, airports, malls cosmopolitan, diverse culture, modern lifestyle, congestion, pollution. High cost of living Delhi, Mumbai, Bengaluru, Kolkata, Hyderabad. Definitions of sociology and rural sociology. Sociology defined. Auguste Comte, sociology is the science of social order and progress. Emile Durkheim, sociology is the study of social facts. Max Weber, sociology is the science which attempts the interpretive understanding of social action. McIver and Page, sociology is the study of social relationships. Ginsberg, sociology is the study of human interactions and interrelations, their conditions and consequences. Rural sociology defined. Sanderson, rural sociology is the sociology of rural life in the rural environment. Bertrand, study of human relationship in rural environment. F. Stant Chapin, the sociology of rural life is the study of rural population, rural social organization and the social processes operative in rural society. A. R. Desai, rural sociology is the science of rural society. The laws of the structure and development of rural governing society. Scope of rural sociology in agricultural extension. Accumulation of sociological knowledge about rural communities. Conducting empirical social research in rural contexts. Applying knowledge to solve practical rural problems. Accumulation and use of sociological knowledge and use it for solving the present problems of rural society, subject matter of rural sociology. Rural sociology studies village life by collecting real facts through direct field research. Sociology has to channel its efforts by keeping faith in the methods used in this discipline in solving the problems of rural society, Rural sociology, a specialized field. Rural sociology is a specialized branch of sociology that focuses on the systematic study of social structures, relationships, institutions, and processes prevalent in rural areas. Areas of focus: dynamics of rural life and communities, patterns of social organization in rural settings, cultural norms specific to rural populations, economic practices in agricultural communities, leadership structures and rural development processes, social change in rural environments. Rural sociologists gathering first-hand data from community members. Rural sociology provides a framework for understanding the complex social dynamics that shape agricultural communities, making it an essential foundation for effective extension work. Importance of rural sociology in agricultural extension. Rural sociology helps us to understand changes in rural development. When a new school is built in a village, children go to school instead of working on farms, changing family roles. Similarly, a new factory may lead people to work together in different ways, affecting social relationships. An extension worker is a change agent. He has to bring about changes in the rural culture. Therefore, he has to understand the culture in which he has to bring about changes. In a cross-cultural situation, the change agent may develop a self-centered attitude, which makes it hard for him to work successfully. Studying rural sociology helps to overcome this problem. A city officer in a village may ignore local customs and push only his own ideas. Rural sociology teaches him to respect traditions and work with the community. Sometimes the change agent, while working with rural communities, does not keep the established pattern of hierarchy. This creates problems in his working. Rural sociology helps him to understand the same and its importance. If a change agent directly approaches villagers without first consulting the village head, people may feel disrespected. Rural sociology teaches him to follow local hierarchy for smoother work. The value system of individuals, families, groups, and communities is an important factor to be kept in mind while trying to bring about changes in the farming communities. If a community values traditional farming methods, forcing new technology may face resistance. Respecting their values and slowly introducing change makes adoption easier. Therefore, it is necessary for a student of rural development to study the subject of rural sociology to bring about planned change in the rural communities effectively and without resistance. 1. Rural population is in a majority. Almost all the countries of the world majority or the world resides in villages. It is true that over 65% population of India resides in villages. 2. It gives complete knowledge of village life. Rural sociology gives us complete knowledge of village life. Village is the first unit of development in country. It is a center of culture of any country. 3. Rural reformation. Rural reformation is the primary aim of rural sociology. In this context it helps in following works. Importance of the study of rural sociology. Organization. Village unit which are disorganized and can be organized through rural sociology. It improves the coordination of various units and helps in bringing an improvement in economic, social, and health conditions. 2. Economic betterment. Through detailed study of village problems and observation, rural sociology gives stress on the importance of increasing the quantity and quality of production. This results into raising the standard of living. 3. Provide technology and systematic knowledge and reforms in farm production. About 65% of villagers depend on agriculture, so improving it is vital. Early rural sociology research was done in agricultural colleges. An agricultural college studied farmers' seed selection methods and introduced improved seeds, which helped increase crop yield in the village. Solutions of pathological social problems. Rural sociology studies the social problems in villages and suggests ways to solve and improve them. Rural sociology studies problems like poverty or unemployment in villages. It then suggests solutions such as self-help groups or skill training programs. 5. Education. The improvement and the development of any community depend on its education. Rural sociology lays stress on education in rural problems. 6. Planning for development. Rural sociology encourages the development of various plans for any rural development program. The work must be carried out according to these plans for the progress in rural society. Rural sociology development relationships of village with industry. Rural sociology studies how rural communities interact with industrial sectors through employment, resource exchange, and market linkages. It analyzes the socio-economic impact of industrialization on village life and rural development. When a factory opens near a village, many villagers get jobs and sell raw materials to it. Rural sociology studies how this changes their income, lifestyle, and development. Rural sociology is most important in agricultural countries. About 90% of world progress is based on agriculture. It is only in agricultural countries that people realize the importance of rural sociology. India is mainly agricultural country. For its all-sided development, the development of rural sociology is very important. The No Rural Sociology Extension. 1. It is a scientific study of the laws of the structure and development of rural society. It is informal, actually non-formal, education for the rural people with a view to develop rural society on desirable lines. 2. It studies the attitudes and behavior of rural people. It seeks to modify or change for the better the attitudes and behavior of village people. 3. It studies the needs and interests of rural society. It helps rural people to discover their needs and problems and builds educational programs based on these needs and wants. 4. It analyzes rural social relationships, or group organizations and leadership in rural areas, the social processes like cooperation, association, competition, etc., among village people. It fosters, develops, and utilizes village organizations and leadership and favorable social processes to achieve its objectives of rural development. 5. It studies social situations and assembles social facts or rural society. It makes use of such social data as a basis for building up its extension programs for rural areas. 6. It investigates the social, cultural, political, and religious problems of rural society. It also studies these problems with reference to their impact on extension work in villages. Interrelationship between rural sociology and extension. Indian rural society need for the study of the rural society. The study of rural society is essential for carrying out a program of rural extension. It is important to know some of the characteristics of rural society as people have distinguishing features. Knowledge of fundamental characteristics of rural situation should contribute much to the understanding of the structure of rural society, the way it functions. Rural people are studied in terms of their personal and group relations and as members of groups, organizations, and institutions. Rural society comprises of all persons residing in administrative unit of village as defined by the authorities. The extension worker as a change agent. An extension worker functions as a change agent within rural communities. To be effective, they must thoroughly understand the cultural context in which they operate. Understanding rural culture. Extension workers must deeply understand the existing cultural practices, beliefs, and traditions of rural communities. This knowledge forms the foundation for any successful intervention. Implementing change. Based on cultural understanding, workers can introduce appropriate innovations that align with community values and address specific needs identified within the local context. Sustainable development. Culturally sensitive changes lead to better adoption rates and sustainable rural development that respects local knowledge while introducing beneficial innovations. Overcoming ethnocentric attitudes. Challenges in cross-cultural extension work. What is ethnocentrism? Ethnocentrism is the tendency to view one's own culture as superior and to judge other cultures by the standards of one's own. This attitude creates significant barriers between extension workers and rural communities. When extension workers approach rural communities with ethnocentric attitudes, they may dismiss traditional knowledge as backward or primitive, impose solutions that clash with local values, create resistance to potentially beneficial innovations, damage relationships with community members. How rural sociology helps. Rural sociology provides a framework for understanding different cultural perspectives without judgment. It teaches extension workers to cultural relativism, understanding cultures on their own terms, not through the lens of another culture. Contextual understanding, Seeing how practices make sense within specific rural contexts. Building trust. Developing non-judgmental approaches that foster trust between extension workers and rural communities. Respecting established hierarchies. Sometimes change agents working in rural communities fail to respect established patterns of hierarchy, creating obstacles to their effectiveness. Rural sociology helps them understand these structures and their importance. 1. Village leaders. 2. Elders and religious figures. 3. Family heads and influential community members. 4. General community members and various social groups. How rural sociology helps. Identifying leadership. Recognizes formal and informal leadership structures that govern community decisions. Decision-making processes. Reveals how decisions are traditionally made and by whom, ensuring proper consultation. Social navigation. Teaches how to work within existing social structures to gain support and legitimacy. By understanding established patterns of hierarchy, extension workers can navigate social structures effectively, gaining support from influential community members and increasing the likelihood of successful program implementation. Understanding value systems. The value system of individuals, families, groups, and communities is a crucial factor to consider when attempting to bring about changes in farming communities. Rural sociology provides the framework to understand these value systems. Core rural value systems. Religious beliefs. Respecting spiritual practices that influence agricultural decisions and community life. Family values. Understanding family structures and intergenerational relationships that shape decision-making. Traditional practices. Acknowledging time-honored methods and their cultural significance within communities. Economic priorities. Recognizing what rural people value in terms of resources, wealth, and security. Understanding these value systems allows extension workers to introduce changes that align with existing values rather than conflict with them, reducing resistance and increasing adoption of beneficial practices. Rural population majority and village life. Rural population significance. Despite increasing urbanization, rural areas continue to be home to the majority of the world's population. In India specifically, over 56% of people live in villages, making rural sociology essential for understanding the nation's social fabric. This demographic reality means that national development depends heavily on rural development. Agricultural productivity impacts national food security. Rural welfare directly affects the majority of citizens. Understanding rural dynamics is key to effective governance. Villages as cultural centers. Villages represent the cultural heartbeat of many nations. They preserve traditions, customs, and ways of life that form the foundation of national identity. Rural sociology provides insights into these cultural repositories and their evolution over time. Comprehensive study. Rural sociology offers a systematic approach to understanding all aspects of village life. Development foundation. Villages serve as the primary unit of development in national planning. Cultural preservation. Rural communities maintain cultural practices that might otherwise be lost to modernization. Rural reformation and development. Primary aims of rural sociology. 1. Organization. Village units that are disorganized can be restructured through rural sociology. It improves the coordination of various units and helps in enhancing economic, social, and health conditions within rural communities. 2. Economic betterment. Through detailed study of village problems and systematic observation, rural sociology emphasizes the importance of increasing both the quantity and quality of production. This results in raising the standard of living for rural populations. 3. Provide technology and systematic knowledge. The main occupation of 80% of village populations is agriculture. To improve this primary livelihood, rural sociology research has historically been conducted in agricultural colleges, creating a strong foundation for practical applications. 4. Solutions to social problems. Rural sociology examines social pathological problems within rural communities and suggests evidence-based approaches for addressing these challenges in culturally appropriate ways. 5. Education. The improvement and development of any community depend on education. Rural sociology emphasizes educational approaches that address specific rural challenges and opportunities. Key importance of rural sociology in India. Cultural foundation. The village is the basic source of Indian culture. India's cultural identity developed from its villages, making their progress essential to national cultural preservation. Agricultural economy. As an agricultural country, India's poverty can only be reduced when agricultural practices and rural livelihoods are improved. Problem solving. Systematic solutions to rural problems can catalyze positive change throughout rural society and, by extension, the nation. National reconstruction. The country and its society can be reconstructed only through comprehensive rural reconstruction efforts. Democratic decentralization. In the interest of democratic decentralization, village communities must be studied holistically. Social organization. Rural sociology can help in organizing the sometimes disorganized Indian rural social structure. Extension, meaning. The word extension is derived from the Latin roots, ex meaning out and tensios meaning stretching. Extension education aims to change the attitudes and practices of the people with whom the work is done, ensminga. Thank you.